The Gatekeeper, read by John Gordon Lind. It was a frigid morning, sometime near the middle of January. No birds sang, no dogs barked, no children walked to school. The landscape, typically teeming, stirring in the early morning air, now void of all life. The seemingly lifeless and cold-seamed silence is broken by a weak churn of an old stand cranking over. As the cylinders began to fire and the belts began to turn, a loud but inconsistent squeak seems to fill the air to the point of precipitation. This goes on for 10 minutes or so, and then another sound joins the symphony. A dented steel entrance door slammed shut. The drafts were strong down the halls in this apartment complex, right out of the 1920s. The building, in all aspects of the word, decrepit, from lack of insulation to the single-burner gas stoves that the landlord's sister's nephew Jerry rigged last month. Rent was cheap enough. It just went up last month again, but to the chagrin of the residents, it was set to increase again soon. A short, stout, but not obese man appears out of the reverberations in the air that the door produced. It seemed they called off school, work, and all government functions. It didn't change much of the life of GK. If a teacher's sick, the school will find a substitute teacher. If a doctor is unable to perform surgery, they reschedule with another doctor. GK didn't come into work. All hell inevitably could, would, will break loose. Imagine the weight required of a man with this responsibility. A long time ago, GK decided it would be too dangerous to show his face in public, given the gravity of his work. Yet, he yearned for the human contact. COVID was the best thing to happen to him. Now he could hide his identity from the world, and no one would bat an eye. Sure, he heard quiet snickerings behind his back. Didn't bother him, though. Plebs are plebs, and their plebby jokes didn't get him off. The steering wheel shook as he floated down the cold, dark, icy roads. He attempted to swerve around potholes while leaving his apartment complex. Good luck. The fact that they were plowing is astounding. Most of the building's residents are fucked up and passed out 90% of all daylight hours. Low-life scum of the earth, going nowhere and working against modern society. But the rent was cheap. GK pulled in the parking lot 15 minutes early as usual. He grabbed his cooler, 3 pops, a Great Valley granola bar, and his ID badge. He gazed into his cooler for a little too long. Then his eyes wandered over his ID badge again. It read, Lumberyard Gate Attendant. He chuckled to himself and clipped it on. If it was only that easy, he said, audibly. This was the first month he hadn't filled a slip of paper for the suggestion box. He wanted the position to be called Import-Export Officer. He thought it would be more fitting. Suddenly, GK snapped out of his daydream. His smile became a glare, and his mask pulled up over all of his airways. He really hated how he had to take on the character that he did. Truly believed that, given his stature and particularly high voice, respect was hard to attain. Silence was his friend, stoicism his mistress.